Okay, good evening, everybody. It's very nice to have many people still on the screen and on your computers. So we start the very last session of this long day, and I will show you the highlights of the day and guide you through the impressions we had. Today, I will speak in English and the screen as the slides are also in English, so everybody can follow me. And please visit our wonderful room and go to the exhibition, talk to the industry partners. Then they have very interesting symposia also. We had one. This was a very good symposium, I think, that just finished. And then use all your possibilities. Don't forget to look into the Congress bag and to try to win one of the marvelous prizes. We have very good prizes. Discuss with the speakers, contribute questions, and answer the questions during the polling. This will increase your chance to win a prize. And so you see here, this is the industry room where you can click on all the icons and still go to the program and to the speakers. The speakers you can even see when they talk and what is their CV. So the first presentation was Dr. Har, and he just told us that we have always some very crazy situations, and what you can do is just to prepare to it so that it's not so surprising if you have thought about it. And he showed us this Eisenhower filter, so you have to think earlier what is important, what not, what is real emergency, and what can have some time to be solved. And then we had a wonderful presentation by Professor Stillhardt, and he told us that when there is emergency, the human being reduces his brain, and he has just two reactions. One is fight, the other is flight, and so he decides between these two. For you, it is very important to look for your own safety. Then perhaps look for some help, keep calm, and have an overlook over the situation and take your time. That's very important. That's also what normally needs the patient. Then we had a very interesting session about very rare diseases. So Professor Fleischhauer showed us the incidence of endophthalmitis. It's about 2 to 1 between 2,000 and 4,000 cases, and it's the baddest complication we can have with ocular surgery. And mostly it's an Staphylococcus epididymitis that causes it. Interesting is what that mostly the surgery is important. So the incision types decides what if you have complications or not. And what you can do is, yes, you can do vitrectomy. It's useful mostly when there is no more light perception, then it's for no use. And antibiotics systemically don't help. The TAS syndrome is also very seldom, and it was shown in a very good presentation. And then we had the presentation about rejection of corneal keratoplastics. And the interesting thing is that the new surgery procedures lower the complication rate. And yes, use steroids, and yes, use it lifelong. And then we had a very, very interesting session chaired by Dr. Lachmont. And so we saw a lot of interesting cases. Something I realized is that in some cases you have to do twice surgery. First, the primary wound reconstruction, something like that, or you can also use air, and then you can do the surgery. And this is not always important that you do it immediately. The take-home messages are canalicular lacerations should be recognized and repaired in a timely fashion to avoid the persistent tearing. And also Douglas this is caused by distal nasolacrimal duct obstruction, and preseptal cellulitis and possible orbital cellulitis are complications of ductal cystitis. And then there was a very, very interesting talk by Ronald Gerste, and he showed us that in earlier times there were a lot of problems and even pandemics that caused more illness and more death. And so Professor Saubruch in the 50s of the last century told that he doesn't understand why we fear the future. And today, where we have even more knowledge and we are so fast in developing all possible treatments, that we fear even more death or whatever. I don't know what some people fear. So that was very interesting. Then we had a wonderful talk about the emergencies in lid and orbit. And just this, I think, is very important. The necrotizing fasciitis is an illness that needs prompt reaction. It's a food variant, and so you have to do antibiotics systemically and early surgical debridement. And if you have a young child or that has orbital tumor, some swelling in the lids that's coming rather fast, think of rhabdomyosarcoma, and there, yes, do surgery early, look what it is, and then there is also chemotherapy and radiotherapy afterwards. Then there was a very interesting case presented by Philip Banninger from the Lucerne Eye Hospital, a patient that had problems with the peroxide solution. And when it takes its time, then you can even use amniotic membranes. He showed this in this case. It's very important that you begin early with the treatment and rinse, yes, rinse a lot. And if there is a lot of pain, you can use local anesthesia. And it's not that important what you use. If you have Diphotherine or something like that, it's much more better than only water. But if you have nothing else, it's okay. And this is the DUA classification he showed us. It's very important to look of the lesions and how long the material was in the eye, and even where the location is. And this makes it more or less simple to have the treatment. If it's severe, you have to put the patient in the clinic. So in summary, in medical care units, critical incident reporting system is required and indispensable. IT security needs help by specialists and training of the whole staff. Then change your passwords, use long ones, make backups, and have an IT emergency plan, because then you know what you have to do. One option is make an insurance. The basic reaction of human beings is fight or flight. In emergency situations, it's useful to have contacts with specialists. and use a calming down technique. Then endophthalmitis, TAS, and corneal transplant rejection are really rare diseases. It needs prevention, so look before if there is a risk situation, and in case, make early transfer to a clinic. DMEC, very interesting. Rejection is really often without any symptoms for the patient. So look for the typical precipitates you see. Sometimes you don't see any other reaction. Just because I think it's very important, child abuse, we talked about it in the morning. If there is a suspect of, for example, apathic child syndrome, use the special units that are known, mostly situated in child hospitals. You can phone these people to ask, what can I do? It looks like this and this. Try to convince the parents to visit the hospital. Very important, they can look, and there is the specialized unit to help. Always inform the specialists about your suspicion and your findings. That's something very important, I think I have to show. And then a very interesting keynote lecture, as told by Ronald Geste about pandemics, crises, and dangers. There is a discrepancy between our actual knowledge and diagnosis and treatment possibilities and the fear a small virus can cause. In earlier times, it took over 50 years to find the triggering agent, and today we have 1 year and we know almost everything. And then there was a lot of information to emergencies around the eye and the orbiter. For example, traumas involving the lid structure always need immediate surgical intervention and then sometimes later on correction. When the wearing of contact lenses causes problems, normally it's not the wrongdoing of the adjusters. And now to the very important point. You get your confirmation of your participation in the Congress. It will be sent to you by email after ending of the Congress. Thanks to all speakers, the team behind the scene, especially MCI, and then the sponsors. Nothing goes without our sponsors, and we thank very much the industry that is helping enormously and gives a lot of wonderful, wonderful satellite symposia. So see you tomorrow with, again, a wonderful program. And if you start 10 minutes before 8, you can listen and enjoy my welcome words tomorrow. I just mentioned in the end of the Congress, Friday in the end, we have a welcome and goodbye party. So stay online till the end at Friday. So see you tomorrow and have a nice evening. Enjoy. Thank you to be with us.